Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to All for United. I should probably say good morning, good evening, good night, because I'm sure you've all just woken up from that terribly dull second half. I mean, how on earth I'm still awake and energetic, I don't know, but I'll try to bring the energy as always. Welcome to the post-match reaction. I've got Temi, Abdel and Henry with me. We're going to look at that United performance or whatever we could see from it, because quite honestly, it was as flat as you could probably expect it. But we got the win in the end. 1-0, early goal from captain at the time, Scott McTominay. A little bit disappointing that we had to sort of rely on our first team players coming off the bench, because the game was supposed to be a chance to rest them. And then in the end, because it was so disappointingly flat, we had to bring on the Martial, the Rashfords, and obviously the unfortunate injury to Bailly to bring on Harry Maguire. But hey, we've got the win. We're in the hat for the next round. That's all that's important, isn't it? Temi, do you think we should be happy with that, or do you think have a bit more standards almost?
Nah, happy wouldn't be the right word. It would just be, kind of you took your lunch pail to work and you came back and you did your job and you went home. There's nothing much else to it, honestly. Like, it wasn't exciting, like you mentioned. It was pretty damn boring, especially the second half. I think obviously in the first 20 minutes we probably should have been up 3-0. With the opportunities and the chances we had, and then we let them back in the game. We're a bit sloppy with it, and it never kind of clicked. Mind you, this team has never played together before, so this was to be expected. I predicted 2-0, ended up being 1-0. And I think this is, honestly, I expected this. This isn't like a shock. I wasn't expecting 4 or 5 goals like a lot of people were predicting in the previous show. This is pretty much what you're going to expect when you have players who don't get consistent game time playing together.
Yeah, no, fair play. I mean, on that note, in terms of the squad players that we sort of played, I mean, I know for a fact that at least 3 or 4 of these players that started the game would have been on Ollie's back, going, "Oh, give me a game, give me a game. I want an opportunity." And Henry, do you think any of them can say they've had a good game and deserve time? Because in my opinion, not a single one of them did anything to prove they should be in this.
No, I completely agree with what you said there. I think sort of the staunch, squad players that you sort of look at and say, I definitely want to are not going to be challenging the first team. I think they've proven why they're not doing so. I think someone who I'd like to see more from was Jesse Lingard. We've seen, obviously I know that he's not particularly fresh, hasn't played a game in a very long time, and specifically hasn't started a game in a very long time. But we know that he's a player who can do things. We've seen Lingard, under Mourinho was such a sort of fantastic, exciting sort of younger player at that point, and would have been nice to see a bit more of that tonight. I didn't think he was particularly good. I think he was terrible. I thought he could have done a bit more maybe. Dan James, I thought started off well and sort of tailed off and didn't really have any big impact on the game. I thought the better players were those who are sort of on the cusp of the first team, which was Scott McTominay, obviously captained and then scored, obviously what ended up being the winner. I thought he was all right in general. I didn't think he was anything special, but I thought he was good, which was good to see, obviously, for a player who was obviously, might start against Liverpool next week. So we had to see a decent performance from him, and I thought he delivered that. And I thought the other sort of better players were Donny van der Beek as well, who I thought was simple. He did simple things, and I thought he did the simple things well. I think that sort of sums up what Van der Beek is as a player. The flick through to Mata was brilliant. Shane Mata couldn't finish. I was disappointed by Juan Mata as well, funnily enough. I thought he was in a similar boat to Lingard, but I just, they've got a bit of quality, and you'd like to have seen it tonight, but we didn't really see it. I thought Tellez was all right on the left as well, but, I completely agree with what you said. I'd like to have seen the squad players maybe sort of prove themselves a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I will get on the Van der Beek thing in a minute, because I think that's a conversation to be had. But before that, on the on the topic of the squad, Abdel, did today show that we can't rotate comfortably and be, reliant on our squad depth, because as we've seen today, the squad depth just isn't good enough, especially in key areas like, out wide with Daniel James and such and such.
Yeah, I think our front players, you can't really rotate that much. I mean, who do you when you want to rest Rashford, it's James, right? And there's no right side to begin with, so you're playing midfield players on that right hand side. And when you want to rest, I mean, it's just because Cavani is on a ban right now, so you don't really have a backup to Martial. Odion Igalo could have had a shout, but honestly, I don't think he would have done much in the game, or probably he would have benefited a little bit out of Tellez's crosses, opposed to Greenwood, who wants I'm not saying dribble, but it's still he's not really prominent for scoring headers or getting on the end of crosses. So this is the area where we're still lacking a lot of depth, I guess. And with the midfield, I've always said this issue. I've always said this every time I came on. Like with the midfield, is just we lack certain profiles. We have a couple of limited players that we want to fit them together to make something out of them. And but other than that, the back is surprisingly our depth, except even at the right back. And I know Brendan Williams haven't been getting a lot of starts, but it's actually most of the depth is there for me, at least, because I don't see the midfield area as depth for us. I see it as a combination of midfielders that don't really fit together with each other.
No, yeah, I agree what you mean. I mean, the depth really is a problem, and I've had my say on this before. But no, I do agree with you on that one. Everyone who's in the comments right now, there's about 30 plus of you here. Make sure you're liking the video. I've just realised that the banner's not up yet. Help us reach this 20 plus like target, because it does really help us grow as well. So make sure you do that. Keep your comments coming in because I'm about to read a few now. I'm wondering what he's nostalgic about. Lokesh, what are you on about, mate? What are you nostalgic about? Vanguard times? I felt a bit of that, in my opinion. Never should have started by. That's a good one from Jordan. I don't think he should have either. But you know what? It's one of those. Play quality football at times, but means very little when you don't put the ball in the net. Exactly, Ashley. Exactly. And especially the one, the Van der Beek flick. That would have been a beautiful goal as well, but it doesn't matter if you don't put it away. Gainer's got it spot on as well. We are through to the next round, which is ultimately the most important thing, definitely. And the comment that I want to hit on, Temi, not this one, but there's a good comment. Greenwood's off-the-field issues have clearly affected him this season. Now, less about the off-the-field issues, but today Mason Greenwood got his opportunity as the number 9, which is the position we all see him in future. But what did you make of him today, and what do you think he needs to improve on to make that spot his own?
Again, he just has to get physically stronger. He's too lightweight. And I said it, I've been saying this on on All for United tons of times. He's just not ready to play number 9 because he can't put his back to a center back and hold the ball up yet. That's a big issue. He had to find space out wide to collect the ball when he wanted it. And it left a lot of open space down through the middle. There wasn't a lot of outlets there. You know what I'm saying? So that for me, I'm not going to say I was disappointed. I just expected a little bit more. I wanted to see him at number 9, and we got that. And I was hoping maybe with lesser competition, he would be able to. But at the end of the day, I called them lesser competition. They're still grown men that are bigger and stronger than him, and that can make life difficult for him. And I think that's the big issue is until he builds up a frame that is of the likes of a Tony, where he's a bit stronger. He has a bit not even Tony, but he just has to get physically stronger. And until he gets physically stronger, he's not going to be able to play number 9 for Manchester United. And that might be in 2 years, that might be in 3 years, who knows? But it's definitely something that United has to think about. How to make him the most effective. And to the comment about his off the field issues affecting him, no, not the case at all. People just know what he is about now. When you break out and you have a good season, it's hard to kind of repeat that because people know what you're about. So the off the field stuff is kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right in terms of that. He can be a number 9. He just isn't there right now, and that's fine. He's got time on his side. He's young. He can develop, and more games like today will give him the experience and to be able to do that. I still think his movement is a little bit lacking, but again, that comes with age. You'll learn that. I've just checked the numbers. We are 2 likes away from our 20 like target already, so you are all a bunch of legends. Make sure we cross that, and let's see if we can get even higher. Henry, I want to ask you about. Who was I about to ask you about? No, it was Greenwood. In terms of, it's a tricky one because we're all saying that he's not ready to be our number 9 yet. But do you not think that he needs more time in that number 9? How do you see it balancing? Because the rule of football is game time equals development. But if you're not ready to have that game time in that position, how do you go about getting it?
Well, this is the tough thing, isn't it? It is a tough one, and obviously now we've got a couple of good options at number 9, which obviously restricts him even further. Edinson Cavani is obviously banned at the moment, which perhaps played into Greenwood's favour in that he started tonight. Whether he would have if Cavani wasn't banned, I'm not sure, because I think it would have been Martial or Cavani, depending on who would have started against City or whatever. So I think that played into his favour. But yeah, no, I totally agree. It's a tough place you find yourself in when you've got a player, especially a younger player, and I think the point made about his physicality is a brilliant one as well, because you've got a younger player who might not quite be up to scratch, as you say, physically or even mentally. I'm not suggesting that about Greenwood, but just in general about young players. And you've got to try and trust them enough to put them in that spot so they can eventually, as you mentioned there, develop and move on and become a better player. I think tonight was a fantastic, decision from Solskjaer. I think he had to make it, and he made it correctly in starting Greenwood up front, because we need to see him with a bit more time up front in games like this. I thought he was decently disappointing, to be honest. I think maybe perhaps a bit harsh the word disappointing, but I didn't think he took the game with a scruff of the neck. I thought some of his touches were a bit sloppy and a bit off the pace, really. But no, it is a tough one. I think the point about him bulking up is very true as well, because he's not he's not a slow player. I wouldn't say he's massively quick though, Greenwood. I don't think him sort of bulking up a bit would sort of work against his pace in any way. So I think as he should perhaps commit to being a 9 and maybe bulk up a bit as suggested there. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's a tough one. I'll be interested to see how Solskjaer continues to use him, whether he keeps sort of trusting him and perhaps plays him on the right to just keep giving him match experience. I'm not sure. But as you say, no, he definitely needs time to play as a 9 for United. It's just how we're going to work that in.
100%. Definitely agree with that. Needs time, as I said.
Yeah,
Time
you can compare him to someone who's very close to his age, which is Haaland. Look at Haaland as a specimen. Like, this guy will knock anybody out cold from how strong he is, and he is as fast as Greenwood, maybe a little bit faster, but his physical body gives him an edge over any center back. So just the same age but different physique completely.
Exactly, just completely different stages in development. That's the best way to phrase it. I do want to ask you, Abdel, about another player who's been wanting game time and probably deserving game time, but today I think he did okay, but I think that might have something to do with his position. But I want to hear what you have to say on Donny van de Beek. What did you make of him?
I think this match shows why he shouldn't be playing in a double pivot, and I know I'll get a lot of people screaming at me for saying that again. Donny is great. He has awareness, but in certain areas. When he plays in a double pivot, because his mind is forward thinking all the time, he wants to get up. He wants to link up play at the edge of the box. He wants to get into the box himself. That leaves you open on the side that he leaves empty. So if you have someone like Scott pairing him, which Scott isn't really a CDM yet. I don't know if we're trying to groom him to be a CDM or not. I don't know what they're working on with him, but he can't do it alone. So that's why we were vulnerable down that side from where Van de Beek was playing at the first half. Add to that, Telles being with him as the left back, was Telles is not the most amazing left back defensively. So we were vulnerable down that side. You saw Van de Beek a lot in the first half at the edge of the box where he shouldn't be. He wants to connect with Mata. He wants to do these little flicks and like these, little beautiful passes that people get off their seat with. But if you're going to play in a double pivot, you can't do that. You have to remain in your position, disciplined to cut off passes, move in, but move in the right time. Don't just move in and stay there. And he did that a lot in the first half. What Ollie did in the second half, he switched the double pivot. He put Scott on the Telles side, and he put Van de Beek on the other side, where Brandon Williams was a bit withdrawn more than Telles, which gave us a little bit of more of a balance than the first time. And yeah, his best position is the 10. Like, I know I don't like the idea of fitting players in positions where they're weakest. Like, he can do a job, but it's not a very good one.
Yeah.
Why don't you play him to his best attributes, which is 10? Like, even at Ajax, when he played in a double pivot at the times when they had injuries, Ajax started conceding more and more goals because he was playing in the double pivot. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Anyway.
No, I 100% agree. I think today's performance was based on him not being in the 10. I've always said his best attribute is the way he can pick up space, and that is perfect for a number 10. So get him in that position, play him there. I mean, you mentioned the fullbacks. I wanted to talk about Alex Telles because obviously we all know that I really want him to do well for United and become our first choice. But at the minute, he just can't seem to have a very, very good performance. Tell me, what did you make of him so far?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's just right now it's been average. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been great. I think Luke Shaw's definitely, I mean, on its face, he's the better left back. Like, just to call a spade a spade. Obviously, Telles has some capabilities. The ball that he put into the box for McTominay to head, obviously beautiful, and he has that in his locker. Something that probably the rest of our fullbacks don't have. Is that consistent, delivery into the box. But that being said, there's way more to being a fullback than that. I thought defensively today he was getting burned multiple times. Not once, not twice, not three times. So yeah, he has a long way to go. And I think he's still adapting to the pace of the English game. I mean, yeah, Watford's a championship side, but the championship is played at a very fast pace. So it's still probably a faster pace than what he was coming into. And I think he'll be fine. Again, when you're playing with essentially the second team, it's not gonna be perfect. So I'm not gonna kill him for tonight's performance. If Luke Shaw does get injured, I'm not like terrified that Alex Telles is coming in. I'm completely okay with it. Have no problems at all. But he's going through some growing pains, and he'll be good.
Fair play. Speaking of pains, we've got another injury to Eric Bailly. Which is so unfortunate because he just can't catch a break. And you know what? You can't even blame Dean Henderson for injuring him because he did what he had to do as a goalkeeper, and that's be brave, go and win the ball and commit. Really? You don't agree, Tammy?
No, I don't agree. I thought he was shaky. I'm sorry. There was multiple times in that half where he made a lot of questionable, shaky decisions. He came out of the box twice when he probably shouldn't have.
No. I get that. I mean, in that incident.
Even in that incident, I felt like he could have handled it. Personally, I thought he could have handled it better. If you
really?
watch the game, I might be wrong. I thought he could have handled that way better. He didn't need to throw his knee out, essentially.
Yeah, I agree that. No, his technique was a bit off, but I think in terms of him deciding he had to come out and get it, that's fine. But no, I agree with you. He was a bit iffy with that. But no, but Henry, the question I wanted to ask you was, how big a blow is it that we could potentially lose Bailly again for an extended period?
I mean, it's a massive blow, isn't it? I think, I massively sympathise with Eric Bailly, as I'm sure all United fans do. It seems to be that every time he gets a bit of a break and a bit of a sort of, an extended period in the first team, it seems that he seems to get injured, which is obviously a massive shame. And, when he does play, I think we all see that Eric Bailly is probably the best centre-back to go alongside Harry Maguire. I think we've always said that, this is generalising United fan base, that Maguire, there's a realisation he's not the quickest of centre-backs. I think you need to put someone a bit quicker alongside him to sort of complement him well. And I think Eric Bailly does that perfectly. And obviously, that block against Villa and, there's various things over previous weeks, massive sort of positive signs for Eric Bailly. And then for this injury, I'm not sure how serious it is. I don't know when we'll sort of find out how long he'll be out for. But yeah, it'd be a massive blow if he's out for long. And, I said midweek it would cause a bit of controversy if Bailly did start against Watford, having been rested against City. And I think, no one can foresee an injury, but we know that Eric Bailly is a player that you have got to be careful with his usage due to sort of his injury problems. And tonight, obviously, there was nothing to do with his injury problems. It was purely sort of, I don't want to say, sort of a freak accident, wasn't it? Just a sort of a bashing together of Henderson and Bailly. But
it wasn't an Eric Bailly move. That's what you're trying to say.
But no, it would be a massive blow, and I really hope that he's fixed. I would like to see him, against Burnley and Liverpool. Whether we can play him in back-to-back games, that's another debate in itself. I think, hence why I was surprised that he started tonight. But hopefully he's fit because he's a massive attribute for the squad.
He tweeted or on Instagram he posted, "I am okay. It was just enough."
Apparently he wanted to get back on, and the physios just told him, get the fuck off the pitch now. So fair play.
Yeah.
A word on his defensive partner today, though, Axel Tuanzebe. Now, everyone knows that I love Axel. I love him to bits. I followed him. I haven't physically followed him. I mean, I followed his progress. I followed his progress throughout his time at United. and I've always said that he'll come into this team and he will play a part in the first team. And today, again, he got his opportunity, and I don't think he put too much wrong, other than the odd aerial duel that he lost. Someone sent me a stat at half-time, and someone had the audacity to tell me he wasn't comfortable on the ball. And I'm just like, have you ever watched Axel Tuanzebe play football? Come on, man. But no, I thought he was fantastic today, and I feel like he deserves more opportunities than he's getting. With Bailly injured, maybe he will get an opportunity in the next 2 games. Who knows? Abdel, what did you make of his performance? Because I personally think he's brilliant.
No, I think Tuanzebe has a massive future at United, but it's just I think it's one of those like Tuanzebe is one of those situations where I'm not really sure why he not getting more minutes. Like I get he was injured a lot, and they're trying to be careful with him, just like Eric Bailly. But like after that performance he had against PSG, he kind of like disappeared. He didn't really get much starts. So this is one of the players that I'll be like questioning, like why is Oli not giving him more chances? You know what I mean? Like I get why Lindelof and Maguire play all the time because of their reliability and availability all the time. But like I would like to see more of Tuanzebe. I thought he was good today on the ball, off the ball. He always like he marked the 2 strikers very well to cut off and intercept the balls very well. I don't think he did anything that was you would call like a mistake or something he should be working on. But other than, I think he was okay. Like not a brilliant performance because he didn't have to defend that much, but it was okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he deserves more opportunities. 100%. The comments seem to be agreeing with me. Axel and Bailly just need to stay fit, says Fred. They're both quality defenders, but have been too unreliable. That is a point you can give on Axel. He's never finished a full season without an injury, so that's probably a factor into why he's not got enough game time. But another player within our rotation, I'm going to ask Temi this because he famously used to have him on his lock screen. Daniel James, he's probably one of the most frustrating players to watch in our United team at the minute because I just can't understand why. He started so well and then we overplayed him and I was like, you know what, I feel sorry for the guy almost because he's getting overplayed. But now I'm just like, he's just not very good. I mean, Temi, go ahead and take it away. You are muted for some reason. Hang on. Go again.
My bad. I'm good. I feel like it's the writing's on the wall. I always say it when Dan plays, it always feels like you can just tell the quality difference. And that's not any disrespect to him. He has pace. He has a turn of pace, and he can get a shot off with his right foot if he cuts it on his left, but it's never really a quality shot. His decision making is poor. He does track back, which, against the bigger sides, like maybe a Manchester City, his tracking back might have helped us in that game, but overall quality, you just can't have somebody that is truly a quality level down from our first 11 playing consistent games. And it's unfortunate. I wonder, I always ask the question, like, are the likes of Benrahma or were the likes of Eze, were they just not as good as him in the champion? Because I can't sit here and say I watched the championship, from start to finish throughout the course of the season. But I see the likes of Crystal Palace getting players like him, Jared Bowen, and I'm like, these guys are all better than Dan James, and they were in the same league. I don't get it. But that being said, we just have to live with it now. I think he will eventually be gone in a year or two, and it was an experiment that I don't think is going to eventually work out.
Yeah, no, I mean, we said it when he signed. It was a very low risk experiment.
Yeah, it was 17 million, 20 million pounds, is whatever. It's 20 million pounds, but like
I'm pretty sure we'd be able to make at least half of that back. I mean, it's not.
Leeds weren't. I mean, the rumor was Leeds was offering us 25 million.
There you go.
Summer window, and
25 to 30.
I would have been like, took it in.
Just make a profit on him. That's fine. But a big point on this. When he plays for Wales, he looks amazing. How's that? That's
also true. That's also true. I think it's the pace of the international game. I think there's a lot more time on the ball, a lot more, opportunities to probably make runs in behind, because you're right. He does look decent for Wales, but I think the quality levels.
It's the spacing. Like you're right in the terms of international football is a bit slow. But secondly, his team at Wales makes a lot more space for him than us. Like the way we're lopsided right now and being left-sided United, as I always call us, um, do not allow James to play his game. And every time he's gonna come to be on the left, he's gonna look frustrating because it's very tight there. Like I think today in some moments we had like three midfielders and James all at the left hand side. I don't know what they were trying to do, all four of them, like Mata, Van de Beek, Lingard, and James. Um, if we get a right winger and then the spacing starts to open up because we're holding more width better, would James look better? I think so, maybe. And I think the third factor that plays into it, I think like James's confidence really got shot bad because his shots were not really like his shots were quality before, and even for Wales, his shots are quality. When you see him take shots for United right now, it's screaming a shot with no conviction, no
Team.
confidence. Like even today, I think in the second half, his our first shot was his shot on goal, and it's like you're not even trying. Like, are you scared? Like, what's wrong? Like I don't know. I think it's a combination of all three. United being a left-sided team that really convolutes all its play on the left side with no spacing, him not having confidence, and of course he looks better internationally because it's a bit slower and there's more space.
No, yeah, 100%. Agree with you there. It is a problem, and as Timmy says, I don't think he'll last very long at United still, but we'll see. I was going to ask another question, but I can't. Oh, yeah, there it is. We haven't spoken about a potential pick for man of the match, which is Scott McTominay. Henry, he had the armband at the start of the day. What did you make of his performance, and do you think he has any kind of shout to be one of the future leaders of this team? I mean, a lot of us seem to think that he's not going to be a first team player. He's not going to be someone who starts every week in a title winning team. But did he show anything today that gives you a hint that says, this could be a future captain or this could be a future key player for United?
Oh, I think it's always hard to sort of watch a football match and judge how well someone's been a leader in that game. We're not on the pitch. We can't hear what's being said. We are watching from a TV perspective, and what the cameras show us is all we see, really. So I think it's hard to judge, how much talking he's doing unless you're actually sat in the stands. So I think, it's hard to judge that. But obviously, he did score our winner. I mean, if you want a sort of a captain trait, it's sort of leading by example and scoring the winning goal, is one of those traits. So I think it's fair to say, he did his job in that respect. I thought his overall game was okay today. I didn't think it was a special sort of performance like we saw him have against Leeds, which I thought was absolutely magnificent. But, I'm a big fan of Scott McTominay. I do like him. I think he's a good player to have in your squad. As you say, whether he's a sort of starter week in, week out, I'm not sure. I think it's a tough one in that, when you play him in midfield alongside Fernandes, you've got to play him with Fred. It seems that McTominay and Fred have to play together as a sort of a pivot in that, they by themselves, they don't offer enough cover. Whereas, someone like Nemanja Matic can by himself, arguably, sort of gives enough cover to free up, even sort of Pogba and Fernandes, not just Fernandes by himself. But in the big games, it seems like, Ole does like to play McTominay and Fred together. And, he obviously does like that partnership. And, Scott McTominay is part of that and thus is part of the squad and a key cog in that squad if he's going to play in the big game. So I think, he's a good player to have around. I do really like Scott McTominay. Whether he's future captain or not, I think that's a tough debate to have. But I thought he did all right today.
No, I agree. I mean, he's more of a functional player, and it feels like that McTominay-Fred thing's like our midfield version of York and Cole. It's like they can't play without each other, and it's just like when they're together, they're incredible. And I'm just like, how is what? None of them are world-class footballers, but together they play so well. But no, I agree with you there. And in terms of the future captain thing, I personally don't think he is one. He's a leader, but he's not a captain. You can be a leader and not be a good captain because you're not going to be in that position for long enough to be able to do that. But I do back him to be a functional player. I think that's the best way to describe him. But
yeah,
Abdul, I want to ask you because you mentioned that he's not a CDM just yet. Now, we're always discussing potential transfers to make, and we're always saying that United need a number 6. We need someone who can fill in for that Matic role. Does McTominay have the potential to play that role Because right now he's sort of a in between, isn't he? He's almost like a box to box, and sometimes he can be the holding. Where do you see him in the future? Can he be that role?
It's tough to say, really. Like you see him in training with Carrick and the other coaches. Like, but from what we can see in during games, that he still lack a sense of positioning. Like when you play him against Fred, sorry, not against, with Fred,
He'd never
you
do that.
yeah, you see that he can cover a certain area very well, and he can cover his fullback very well. But when you give him the entire pitch, the entire to cover alone on his own, he loses his sense of positioning and the awareness of where I should be ahead of the ball. You know what I mean? Now, add to that, he's not the most beautiful player in sense of passing, but he does have a quality pass sometimes. Like today, he had one or two iffy passes, but generally he's okay. Best attributes, it's tackling. So when you go all through all his attributes, you see he's closer to a CDM than he is to forward thinking box to box. But can he develop that sense of positioning? Questionable. The same thing Fred has. When Fred plays with him, or plays alone, you see that his sense of positioning is off. So that's why you need both of them as a pair, for each one of them to cover half of the pitch. It's not about that they can't move fast, it's about their sense of positioning itself as a CDM. So basically, when you play Fred and Scott, it's like you are adding 1+1 to make a CDM, basically. Like two players making one role for you. But yeah, like it possible. Like he would need a lot of more development in the sense of when to position myself, when to make the decision here, because decision making is the most vital thing as a player, and he's still lacking that. He's good in tackles, better than Fred, but he's still lacking in positioning awareness.
Not fair enough. And since he scored today, he will no doubt be many people's pick for one of our top performers of the day, simply because he scored. But Temmy's shaking his head, and you can hear what he has to say right after this, because there will be a player rating show. I am so good at these segues. Temmy will be live straight after this with a player rating show, so make sure to join in for that. We've smashed the 20 like target, so thank you very much for that. We've got about 25 at the minute, I think. So everyone who's watching, still keep liking the video. We'll start wrapping up then. Temmy, give us your final thoughts, and without giving away your ratings too much, who did you think performed well today?
Yeah, no, definitely a boring game. Not too much to take from it. Not too much we can learn, as when it comes to team construct, because we're likely not going to see this team play consistently ever. It was positive to see some, the likes of Van der Beek get some game time, even though it wasn't in the natural position. It was nice to see Tuanzebe have a decent game. Unfortunate that Bai got injured. I never thought he was starting versus Burnley anyway, though, just to be completely honest with everybody. But, damage control, we got through to the next round, and it's still an opportunity to win a trophy. And I think Ali is probably more thrilled than anybody, obviously, that we got through and, pretty comfortably at the end of the day. And now we move. Everyone make sure to join the player rating show at 11:30 p.m. GMT. And we'll be live and have a good time, and I'll break this down more in depth.
Love it, love it, love it. Henry, your thoughts then?
Well, yeah, a win's a win, isn't it? We're through to the next round. I mean, that's all we expected at the end of the day. You don't get judged on goal difference in the FA Cup. It's all about getting through to the next round, and we did that. I didn't think anyone was absolutely magnificent, as I've sort of alluded to. McTominay, Van der Beek. I thought Tellez was all right. But yeah, not the best performance, but, a win's a win. And I think even if we'd won 4-0, I'm not sure it would have been the most entertaining game. I think, games at Old Trafford like that, even if we sort of win 3-4, 5-0 against a sort of a lower league side, with all due respect to Watford, I know they're a championship club, they're not a complete sort of run over, but games like that are never all that entertaining. And the win's a win. 1-0 is the same as 5-0 in the FA Cup. I think we've got to move on, and I really hope, we can challenge again for a trophy. Obviously, we've had that sort of sticking point over the past couple of years with Ollie. Hopefully, we can break through that in the FA Cup, but obviously that remains to be seen, as well as the draw. Depends on who we get in the next round, which I'm sure will be interesting.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it's not Wolves. Are they still in it? I hope that.
Oh my god! Oh my
I
god!
can't be
I don't
asked
want
playing Wolves again.
Anyone
anyone but full Wolves. Anyone but
Yeah, go on, Abdel. Your final thoughts then.
Yeah, I'm happy it's a win. Like I think it's a vital win. It's not an important in the sense of the season in general, but I think it was vital because we just got knocked out of the Carabao semi-final. And with Ollie's record being posted all over social media and being used as a sticking point against him for the semi-finals thing, it was vital that he did not get knocked out of the FA Cup right after it. So it's very important win in that sense. But I mean, it was kind of like how do you call it? A dead rubber game. You
Yeah,
just want
yeah.
to get the win and just move on, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
fair play. Yeah, so that's the lads' thoughts. Remember, Temi will be going live at 11:30. That's GMT with the player rating show. My final thoughts then. I think United just needed to win today. I said earlier in the week that it had to be just a response. After a defeat against City, you just need to win. And as Abdel hit the nail on the head, it would have been even worse for Ole if he lost today. Now, let's not forget, this is a Watford team who are fighting for promotion, so it was never going to be a really easy game. And as Temi said, it was always going to be a 1-0, 2-0. It wasn't going to be a 4-5-6, especially with the rotation. And with regards to that, we had a number of players who were probably telling Ole, I deserve a chance. And they showed today that they're not worth giving that chance to, because we're seeing yet again that when we rotate, we don't have the quality and depth to be able to do so comfortably. We had to bring on players that we wanted to give a rest to. We had to bring on Rashford, Martial. And losing Eric Bailly means, again, our squad depth is just being cut. So in this month, let's not forget, we're in the middle of a transfer window and we're not being linked with anyone at this minute. If we're serious about maintaining any kind of challenge this season, we have to go and invest somewhere. Whether we do that is another question altogether. But regardless of whether we do that or not, we are into the biggest week of the season coming up. And I think this is going to be where we see what this squad is made of. 2 wins and we can go top of the league. We go to Burnley on Tuesday. That's going to be a game that we're expected to win. So let's hope we do that. And then we go to Anfield. That's a big one. That is a really big one. I don't want to say it, but should I say it? I should say it, shouldn't I? They're all waiting for me to say it. I want to say it. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to comment below what you think is going to happen this week. Make sure to subscribe to Off United if you haven't already. The lads are all smiling because they know what's coming. Make sure to join Temi for the player rated. Make sure to join us on Off United next week because this is the week where we go top of the league. See you in a bit.